All right, here is, I guess, probably the least redneck part of this whole project. You notice this has a curve to it, so you've got room to put your hands through to pull the door open. Well, technically, we could just screw this to the door and you could grab it like this and pinch it, but that's lame. So I'm going to make a couple of standoffs, and you could still pseudo redneck it and just stick several washers here or something so that it would stand away from the surface of the oven door. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little standoff here, but I also don't want to have, and you actually could do it this way. It's going to be spray painted black, like I was talking about this other hole. And it wouldn't show it that bad, but it is nice to do something, well, nice once in a while, not just redneck. So I'm going to cut it so that a matching curve, so it conforms there and it looks nice. And the way I'm going to do that is using a hole saw. It's why I mentioned, I think earlier, getting a hole saw set so you can do that. And I've already measured it out, and I need to have, and I'm going to go ahead and mark it now, that I need to have like 1.25 inches. The length of the part needs to finish at 1.25 inches. But I'm also going to be drilling using a 1-inch hole saw, because if I use a 1-inch hole saw, it makes a circular cut. This is a 1-inch dowel. If I make a 1-inch circular cut here, it will, conform to the edge, nice and perfect. When I use the hole saw, it will leave this piece just right, and it'll have this piece, ready to just trim to make the right length. Actually, I need to mark that ahead of time so I know, so they both end up even. So I've gotten a 1-inch hole saw, and this is a 1-inch dowel, so it's going to be, theoretically, cut right to the edge. It'll leave a 1-inch diameter curve so that it matches up to the other piece. And but with that being said, if I need to have a couple of pieces of wood, because otherwise it's going to hit. And these are cheap hole saws, especially these actually are Harbor Freight hole saws. And they say they're for metal, but they aren't really. I use them for wood. But when I'm hitting metal, it'll mess up. So you got to put a couple of pieces of wood beside, so you'll have some nice, clearance against the metal. So we come down, we're kind of eyeballing it, but we can get this, centered. So it's actually, yeah, I think that's centered. Okay, here we go. Come up and down a few times, clear sawdust out of the way. Theoretically, that's supposed to happen on its own through the holes in the hole saw. Some holes on the side, but doesn't always, and it ends up interfering. It's part of the deal. There we go. Accidentally almost got that perfectly centered. What do you know? Anyway, you get the concept there, see? I have a piece here, and then we'll trim that piece here. Let's go ahead and do that. Here we are back at the drill press, and actually that's how the setup was before. I had had this set up for doing this, and I was from doing the previous handle, and then I was just following along. That's why I went ahead and drilled through that last time. Here we go. Oh well, guess I didn't tighten it in the chuck enough. Yeah, so let's oh, that actually came pretty centered, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it again. And the last part I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I did before on the other handle. I just used that belt sander and just sanded an angle down. Well, I'm going to do a cut on that bandsaw first. You know, that's something, this is one of those things where if you don't have the tools, maybe you just hand sand it and leave it round like this, or leave it squared off like that, just to clean it up. But I'm going to go ahead and put an angle here so there's nothing to catch on. It's pretty close to the oven door anyway. It shouldn't be that much of an issue, but it's nice to kind of put a little angle here just in case. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take, get this nice and square. I'm going to go ahead and make a line here and draw it right there. And then I think the line I had was about over here someplace, and I'm going to draw, sort of a line there, just to give me a little bit of an idea. And I also want to try to get that vertical. There. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to finish it with sanding. See, get that vertical there. There we go. And let's just go over here to the sander and all right, here we are now with the pieces. I went ahead and I just hand sanded to smooth off, sort of. And like I said, it is a pseudo redneck. I didn't make this perfect. It's not this smooth, perfect round. I mean, it's what it is. And like I said, we still got that hole there. But I've got these, the piece now with the tapered ends, and basically now you'll see this is basically the setup is it, a screw is going to go through the door, through there, screw into there, and through that end too, and there we go. I think you can see that. Let me add my flashlight light to it a little bit. Yeah, there. See, you got these little things that are called standoffs, and they basically sit relatively flush. There we go. Relatively flush to the piece. So I'll go ahead and put it on the door, and you'll see the finished product.